Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. This time we're taking a closer look at Venom, The Last Dance.
Oh yeah, the third one.
Yeah, the third one in the Venom franchise. To help us break it all down, we've got some box office reports, a bunch of interesting interviews with the director, Kelly Marcel, and even a full movie review.
Wow, it sounds like we got a lot to unpack.
We do. I'm really curious to see what we can uncover about the movie. Like, how did they make certain creative choices? What did audiences think about it? And what really sets this film apart from the first two?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
All right, well, first up, let's talk about the box office. The Last Dance actually had a really weird opening weekend.
Oh,
Okay, so in the U.S., it only made like $8.5 million on preview night,
8.5 million.
which is the lowest out of all three movies.
Oh, wow.
But globally, the opening weekend was projected to be a huge 180 million.
Really?
Yeah, 180 million. That's the highest out of all of them. So what do you think about that?
I mean, there's a pretty big difference between the U.S. and everywhere else. Maybe people in the U.S. are kind of tired of seeing Venom.
Yeah.
3 movies is a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's just threequel fatigue.
Right, exactly.
Mm.
Or maybe there were just other movies out at the same time that people wanted to see more.
Yeah, maybe.
But internationally, The Last Dance did amazingly well.
Yeah, especially in China.
Yeah, it had the biggest opening day for a comic book movie there since Spider-Man, Far From Home, back in 2019.
Wow.
Which I think goes to show that Venom and those characters are still super popular around the world.
Yeah, for sure. And, I mean, we can't forget that The Last Dance also snagged the biggest October opening ever.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
Yeah, and that's even with the Joker sequel not doing so well. I wonder if that actually helped Venom at the box office.
You know what? That's a good point.
Yeah.
Maybe people who were disappointed by Joker just went to see Venom instead.
Maybe they were just looking for a comic book movie fix.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so let's move on from the box office and talk about the director, Kelly Marcel.
Oh, yeah. What
Yeah.
about her?
Well, she had a pretty interesting journey to directing The Last Dance. And actually, she and Tom Hardy have been friends for over 20 years.
Wow. Over 20 years.
Yeah, they actually met back in London.
No way.
Yeah.
So how did they meet?
She was working at a video store and he had like a theater company or something.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and from there, they just kind of built this whole creative partnership. And she ended up doing some uncredited work on a few of his films.
Like which ones?
Well, Bronson, for sure,
Oh.
and even Mad Max, Fury Road.
Wow. Mad Max. That's a huge movie.
I know, right?
Hmm?
It really shows how much Tom Hardy trusts her and her talent.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they must have a really strong creative connection.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder how much that influenced The Last Dance, like the direction and the tone of the film.
Right.
It's also interesting because she seems to really prioritize artistic vision over just, chasing big paychecks.
Vinny?
Well, she actually turned down running the show Terra Nova after coming up with the whole concept for it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well-
Instead, she decided to write Saving Mr. Banks and 50 Shades of Grey.
Huh. Interesting. Well, that just shows how diverse her work is.
Right. And then, of course, Tom Hardy got her on board to co-write the first Venom in 2018,
Oh, right.
which kind of paved the way for her to direct The Last Dance.
So it sounds like it was just meant to be.
I think so.
Right.
Apparently, when Sony asked her if she wanted to direct, she and Tom Hardy just looked at each other and were like, yep, let's do this.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and one of the things that really stood out to me in The Last Dance is how much the focus shifts towards Eddie and Venom's relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Remember how in the first movie they kind of hinted at a possible reunion between Eddie and Anne?
Michelle Williams?
Yeah, Michelle Williams. Well, in The Last Dance, Anne is completely gone.
Oh, wow. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if they did that on purpose. Like, did the filmmakers want to really hone in on that weird bond between Eddie and Venom?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And if they did, what does that mean for the story and how those characters develop?
That's a really interesting question.
It is, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, was it a response to fan feedback?
Maybe?
Or did they realize that what people really loved about the franchise was that strange codependent dynamic between Eddie and a freaking alien symbiote?
I mean, that's definitely one of the things that makes these movies so unique.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like their relationship is the heart of the whole thing,
For sure.
which is kind of bizarre when you think about it.
Totally. It's so weird and messed up, but somehow it works.
Exactly.
It's awesome.
Well, from what I've read in these interviews with Marcel, it definitely sounds like that shift in focus was intentional.
Huh.
She's said that they were really paying attention to what fans were saying, and they realized that people were way more invested in the whole Eddie Venom thing.
Yeah, then the romantic subplot with Anne.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like, it seems like they kind of knew that the real draw of these movies was that unusual relationship between Eddie and Venom.
Right. I mean, that's what makes these films so different from other superhero movies. You know, it's not your typical good guy, bad guy situation.
It's more like this weird kind of messy partnership.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hilarious.
Right. Plus, The Last Dance is basically a road trip movie.
Oh, right.
So it kind of makes sense to just focus on the two of them, you know?
Yeah, just Eddie and Venom on the road causing mayhem.
Pretty much. No distractions, just those two navigating the world together.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's a bold choice.
That is.
But I think it really pays off.
Me too. Okay, but speaking of bold choices, can we talk about that scene with Eddie Brock wearing a tuxedo?
Oh my God, yes.
That was gold. It was like they were totally playing with those Tom Hardy, James Bond rumors.
I know, right? It felt like a little nod to the fans.
Yeah, and Marcel even admitted that she wanted to show everyone what Tom Hardy would look like as James Bond.
That's amazing. I love that she's having fun with it.
Me too. And get this, Marcel herself was actually rumored to be in the running to direct a Bond film at one point.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
It's like life imitating art.
Exactly. Okay, so let's dive into this movie review that we have.
Oh, yeah. What did it say?
Well, it called The Last Dance, a steroidal buddy movie.
Steroidal buddy movie.
I know, I kind of love that description.
It's perfect.
Right, it totally captures the over-the-top action and the constant banter between Eddie and Venom.
Yeah, it's like they're always bickering and fighting, but they also have each other's backs.
Exactly. But the review also pointed out something really interesting. Apparently, this film actually delves deeper into Venom's origin story.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So we finally learn more about where he came from.
Yeah, we get more about his backstory, his motivations, which really adds a whole new layer to the character.
That's cool. I'm always up for more backstory.
Me too.
Yeah.
And on top of that, there's this new villain named Null.
No.
Yeah, he's basically like the god of the void.
Like God of the Void.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And he sends these terrifying creatures called xenophages after Venom.
Xenophages.
Yeah, it sounds like some serious cosmic horror stuff.
Whoa. Okay, that's intense.
Right.
So why is Null going after Venom?
Well, from what I understand, Null feels betrayed by his symbiote offspring.
His symbiote offspring.
Yeah, and for some reason, Venom is the key to Null escaping from this intergalactic prison.
Okay, hold on. So it's not just a buddy movie. It's also a cosmic prison break.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow, they really upped the ante with this one.
They did. Okay, so after the events of the last film, Eddie and Venom are laying low in Mexico.
Trying to stay out of trouble.
Exactly. But then they get pulled back into the craziness.
Oh.
Well, there's a brief mention of this whole multiverse thing happening.
Oh, no, not the multiverse.
I know, right?
That's getting kind of old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not really explained. They just kind of end up back in that same bar from before.
Huh. So they're basically acknowledging the MCU, but keeping this story separate.
Pretty much.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
It probably would have been too confusing to try to tie everything together.
Right.
Anyway, so they try to get to New York City, but things go wrong when they run into a xenophage on their flight.
On the plane.
Yep. They end up having this crazy midair fight.
Of course they do.
And crash land in the Nevada desert near Area 51.
Area 51.
I know, right? Classic Venom.
So what's going on at Area 51?
Well, it turns out the government has been holding and experimenting on aliens,
Aliens.
including symbiotes.
No way.
Yeah, we meet some new characters there, like Rex Strickland, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Oh, cool.
He's this tough military guy. And then there's Dr. Payne, played by Juno Temple. She's a scientist who sees the aliens as refugees who need help.
Well, that's interesting. So we're getting different perspectives on the symbiote.
Yeah, exactly. Like, are they dangerous or are they victims?
Right.
And then there's this hilarious tourist named Martin, played by Rhys Ifans.
Rhys Ifans.
Yeah, he's obsessed with UFOs and gives Eddie and Venom a ride in his camper van.
Of course he does.
And of course they get attacked by those xenophages. It's just chaos.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, Marcel really blends a lot of genres in this movie. We've got action, sci-fi, comedy, even a little bit of ethical debate.
I like it. It sounds like she's not afraid to experiment.
Definitely. But the review did mention that some of the action scenes are a little hard to follow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Apparently it's because Venom is mostly fighting these nameless, faceless enemies.
Huh. I can see how that would be a problem.
Right. It's hard to get invested in the fight when you don't really know who or what the hero is battling.
Yeah, for sure. So how does Venom deal with all of this?
Well, he ends up getting some help from other symbiotes who are also being held at Area 51.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the symbiotes bond with the staff at Area 51. So now it's like this whole team of alien warriors.
That's awesome. So the stakes are way higher now.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not just about Eddie and Venom surviving anymore.
It's about the fate of all symbiotes on Earth.
Exactly. The review also talked about how the movie has this really emotional ending. Like there's this sense of catharsis.
Huh. Interesting. So what happens?
Well, it sounds like Eddie and Venom finally come to this place of understanding and acceptance.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, their relationship becomes more than just host and parasite. It's like their family. But there's also this hint of sadness. Like they know they might have to say goodbye eventually.
Oh, wow. That's kind of heartbreaking.
It is, but it's also really beautiful.
Yeah, I can see that. So it's like a bittersweet ending.
Yeah, kind of. And the review actually said that this was the cuddliest of the 3 Venom movies.
The cuddliest.
I know, right?
That's a weird way to describe a movie about an alien symbiote who eats people's brains.
It is. But I think Marcel managed to find a good balance between the dark stuff and the humor.
Yeah.
Like, remember, there's no romantic subplot in this one.
Oh, right.
So it's really just about Eddie and Venom and their crazy relationship.
Which is honestly the best part of these movies.
Exactly. And there's this really sweet moment where they end up protecting those kids. You know the ones from the tourist guy, Martin?
That's cute.
Right? It shows that they actually care about other people.
Yeah, even though they're this chaotic alien symbiote duo.
Yeah.
It's like they have a heart deep down.
Or at least some version of a heart.
Right. It makes you wonder if even the most unconventional beings can be good.
It does. And then there's this scene where Venom transforms into a parachute for Eddie.
A parachute.
Yeah, and then a horse, and then a fish.
What?
It's hilarious. It's like pure visual entertainment.
It sounds like Marcel really let loose with this one.
Yeah, she definitely embraced the absurdity of the whole thing.
Oh, I love that.
Me too. Okay, so we've talked about the box office, the creative team, the focus on Eddie and Venom's relationship, and we even got some insights from that movie review.
Yeah.
But there's one big question that we haven't really addressed yet. Is this truly the last dance for Venom?
That is the question, isn't it?
It is. I mean, the source material hints at some possible spin-offs.
Right. And the movie did really well globally.
Yeah, so there's definitely still an audience for these characters.
Plus, we can't forget about that little piece of Venom that's still in the MCU.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows what Marvel Studios is going to do with that?
Right. The possibilities are endless.
They really are. It feels like the Venom saga is far from over.
I think you're right. So here's a final thought for everyone listening. Considering how well the movie did, and all the new characters and symbiotes they introduced, and those loose ends in the Marvel Universe, is The Last Dance really the end? Or could this be the start of something even bigger and crazier for Venom?
Maybe it's not goodbye. Maybe it's just see you later.
Yeah, maybe this is just setting the stage for a new dance partner, a new threat, a whole new evolution for the character.
That would be awesome.
It would. We'll just have to wait and see what the future holds for our favorite symbiote and his long-suffering host.
I can't wait.
Me neither. All right, well, that's it for this deep dive into Venom: The Last Dance. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next time for another deep dive into a fascinating topic.
For more entertainment news, subscribe to The Hollywood Reposter.